Hi, this is Jeff Roden, and I'm going to talk about my case study for internet use violations at Roosevelt High with Miss Walker as the subject. Problem identification and analysis. What do I know about this case? As an administrator in this area, I know that the area around Roosevelt High is full of higher income families and students who are used to getting good grades. I also know that Miss Walker's a young teacher who has tough standards and a heavy workload for her students, and now her second year here, I think. And I know that Miss Walker is being threatened online by people who feel that she is not doing a good job as a teacher. What do I need to know? To move on, I'd like to know who sent the email, first of all, so I can investigate that. Second, is it possible to find out who created the website or the post where everybody was saying that they would like for Miss Walker to disappear? Sorry, excuse me. And the last one, it almost sounds like specific website means like a social media site or a forum where others can interact on someone's message. And if this is the case, maybe I can determine from this post who is involved in these messages and visit with them, talk about consequences and their actions. Also would like to know if this is an actual threat against her life or if someone just wants her to not continue teaching. Or maybe they meant it jokingly also. But either way, it's not acceptable and have to take it seriously. And what were some of the highly suggestive comments about her personal behaviors? Is there more about Mrs. Walker I need to know? Are there other posts with different students, parents, whatever that I need to know about also? And finally, I'd also like to know more about the classroom situation with Miss Walker and if there have been any other threats against her, anything else that stands out from the past with her in her classroom. I know I have made mention to her before because she has had a lot of student and parent complaint about her course standards, the workload. Maybe there's some other things going on too that I need to know about. Identifying the problem. First, the main problem here obviously is that Miss Walker does not feel safe. Okay, she didn't even want to stay at her apartment. I've got to know that she's safe at home and at school. If law enforcement is needed to help me do that, we can go that direction, but I need to find out if there's a threat against her personal safety. Also, if there's enough dissatisfaction with her teaching, then maybe we need to really look at her teaching methods or her environment, how things are set up for her to create a plan of action that will continue to meet her standards so she gets what she needs out of the students, but maybe it isn't so difficult for them to keep up with. Maybe there's just not a lot of busy work. More of it is seen in class or projects that they can have more time to work on or something like that. Even if Randy Franks is not behind this, there's obviously an issue between he and Miss Walker that needs to be addressed if she's the first one, or if he is the first one that she points out when I and her begin talking about this. Excuse me. So my proposed plan of action. First, find out who sent the email. That can be done hopefully either looking at the email address. Sometimes you can see names, parts of names, numbers that can correspond to years or something like that. Visit with the technology coordinator and see if they can find out who is behind the email address. Or if they can't, maybe go to another technology specialist or possibly go through law enforcement to try and find its origination. Next, find out who's behind the website or posts that are about Miss Walker. Maybe it's the same person that sent the email. Maybe the person who sent the email just wanted to point that out to her and let her know that it's there. Maybe they are a friend of hers or know that she's doing an okay job as a teacher, so they're just trying to point that out to her. Maybe it's somebody else. Need to find out who's behind those. I'd visit the website again and look for usernames or other ways to identify who wrote the messages. Next, I would have the tech coordinator look for ways to find out who's behind it, or contact the owner of the website and inform them of the problem. For example, at my school a few years ago, we had a group of students creating a fake Twitter account that they then attached the principal's photo to that account. I contacted Twitter. They helped me solve the problem. Thirdly, sorry, I got off topic there just a bit. Visit with law enforcement on the issue to help them, let them help me get to the bottom of it if they can. Next, once a student or group of students has been determined to be behind this, I need to handle the situation. First, meet with the students and parents both together so I can tell them what I know and what is so wrong about this, and determine what consequences would be needed for their action. When the problem is resolved, I want to make sure all the information about Miss Walker is removed from the internet. Okay, once again, speak with the students and parents, have them remove it personally, or contact the owner of the website and make sure that this information be removed. As I said before about our fake school account that was created, when I contacted Twitter, they helped me make sure it got shut down and everything was removed. Next, I would work with Miss Walker to create a better classroom environment. This would be tough, but I'd suggest to her that maybe she's used to the rigorous studies at the college level, and that perhaps students at this level are not ready to handle such high standards. She also has went through the master's program, and those are tough things to go through. That's what she's used to, maybe making it a little too tough on the students. I'd also suggest that she keep open the lines of communication between herself and students and parents. She needs to make it so students feel comfortable. They can come in and talk to her, tell her what they're struggling with. Hopefully she can help with that and help them along the way. Parents should be able to feel free to be able to communicate with her, email, give her a phone call, and resolve any issues there also. If I determine Randy Franks is behind this, or who all is involved in it, I think several things that can be done to make sure students as well as Miss Walker gain from this experience. The first thing is to use this as an opportunity to show students how their web presence is always out there. Anything you post or say is floating around out there somewhere. Even if it's removed, that's all well and good, but somebody's seen it already and knows your opinion and what you've said. So you got to be careful what you say, what you post, what you share with the internet, on the internet. This is also an opportunity for Miss Walker to really reflect on our teaching strategies and methods and work to create a better learning environment and better interactions with students and parents. Okay, so the reflection, thoughts and feelings. I really feel Miss Walker was putting too much stress on our students, and with her high standards and expectations, I'd like to help her with that. But at the same time, students need to know that these specialized classes are going to be more rigorous than others. The ultimate goal here is to create a feeling of safety for Miss Walker. And gotta let students know that this is not the correct way of handling the situation. Okay, they could have talked to a school counselor, talked to Miss Walker directly, or come to me, inform me of their problems, and we could have worked on that. Miss Walker needs to continue to work on her relationship with students and make learning a positive experience instead of a struggle. Students should want to come to her class, be excited to learn about the topics she has. These are interesting courses, I think, for most students. They just can't be overwhelmed with the workload and struggle because it's such high standards that they then dread coming to class and dread doing some of the things that she has them do. Unresolved issues. Hopefully by the end of it there aren't many unresolved issues, but the only thing that could be is if there were incidents in the past that led up to this experience. There may need to be further investigation to determine if there's a larger root to this problem. But hopefully we get to the bottom of it when visiting with students involved with this messages and Miss Walker, we can figure it out. Okay, reflecting on Standard 5. Demonstrating a sense of integrity and ethical behavior. I think dealt with this topic with integrity because the main thing behind it is Miss Walker's safety, and you have to act with integrity to get to the bottom of that issue as quickly as possible. Make sure she feels safe at home and at work. That's the number one thing. Next is that I worked to getting to the bottom of this event quickly and not just blowing her off. I could tell her, oh, don't worry about it. It's probably no big deal. It'll be all right. Or, let's wait a couple days to see what happens. Well, if you do that and then, something the next day seriously threatening to her life happens, that's not the way to handle the situation. So I think it's acting with integrity to deal with it right away. And finally, one of the toughest things to do as administrator is to oversee the work of the teachers, and if they're struggling with something, if they need something changed or fixed, then that would be my job to make sure they're doing the best job possible that they can. Treating people fairly, equitably, and with dignity and respect. I think I would deal with all students fairly because the consequences would be fair and equitable among all members involved. The only imbalance that might occur is if some students were doing some of this online at school time during school, as opposed to some of them doing it at home on their home computers and home internet on their own time. But otherwise, it would be fair among all members involved. I'd give parents an equal chance to visit with myself and or Ms. Walker on the issues after we've determined who's involved, and visit with the parents also. And I'd be respectful in the manner that I approach Ms. Walker about making changes to her classroom environment and course expectations. That would not be easy. It would be something that we'd really have to talk about privately, keep between her and myself, and try to get to a good solution to handling that. Demonstrating a personal and professional code of ethics. I've displayed a professional code of ethics in how I dealt with Miss Walker. I've been upfront with asking her to consider remediation of her teaching methods. I've also shown ethical behavior in how I went about acquiring students' names and who are involved in this event. That one would be pretty tricky, but you've got to be ethical about it. You can't just pull students aside and say, hey, I know you did it. Tell me you did it. Get in their face and try and scare it out of them. I don't think that's really the direction you want to go. And in dealing with parents, I would make sure they are informed of any suspicions that I may have about their child. Make sure I've saved any screenshots or printouts and show them to them so that we say, hey, I think this is your child that's behind this. Here's what they've posted online. Most parents, I believe, would be supportive of that, and that would show ethical qualities. So that's my case study, and that's how I feel about Miss Walker and Roosevelt High. Thank you.